warrior friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Cleanse Heal Ignite podcast, Warrior Wednesday. Today is June 3rd, 2026. And one of my favorite funny jokes I said yesterday is we used to say it's raining men, and now we're saying it's raining ticks. So we're going to cover a lot of ground today. I am Dr. Diane Kaiser. If you've never been here before, I am a board certified doctor of traditional naturopathy. And our goal is to help you step away from fear and toward freedom so that you realize that you have a choice in your own healing journey. You've always had choice, but unfortunately, as we talk about in the show often, we have been programmed since birth to believe that we don't have choice, to pedestalize everybody else, that they have the answers outside of ourselves, when really the Christ consciousness lives within, and your true healing is already programmed inside of you. So it's all about the unlearning, the unprogramming, and really stepping back into your own sovereignty. And that's what we're going to cover today. This is one of my favorite patients from our most recent root cause reset, which is what we do once or twice a year. Is we have at least 15 patients that come in with us, and we do an 8-week deep dive in what's called the Root Cause Reset Masterclass. And we give you the education that I myself, as a doctor, wish that I would have been given when I first started on my healing journey. And of course, my healing journey, you guys may have heard me talk about this several times. I mean, it was birth control and Botox and breast implants and beauty toxins. And that's what a lot of women experience, and, to fix their hormones and to lose weight and to get rid of their symptoms, because pain sucks and suffering leads us to desperation. And 80% of people, their first choice is to take a prescription medication when they are experiencing disease or any degree of symptoms, because they don't know where else to go. And the loudest message is the one that we hear. 1 out of 3 commercials in the United States is a drug commercial. So this is how we get programmed. And our goal is to help you unprogram yourself. The episode name for today is Susan. We're going to bring her on in just a moment. I'm just going to tee this off first with a little bit of a story, but she's 68 and she has a history of breast cancer. She has an increased risk of Alzheimer's, which so do I, and that's a part of my journey. But over the time that we supported her in the Root Cause Reset Masterclass, she lost 30 pounds. And so we're going to talk with her first about her experience and to give you guys some inspiration, some hope to realize that you do have choice. Because, the most average things that people are concerned about or struggling with or literally going bankrupt from today is cancer. And also people are, you're hearing this episode and you're probably like, oh, well, I've got a little dementia, or maybe you have literal, Alzheimer's. Most people watching the shows don't have Alzheimer's yet. They're at that point, it's harder to pull people away from the 5+ medications that they're on. This is what my grandmother died of. And she was a well-known nurse. She was actually the first nurse anesthetist in the United States as a woman. So I have a medical history in my family, but even with that medical knowledge that my grandmother had, she still died of Alzheimer's on over 10 medications, and she had nothing to pass down to her heirs, her children, my father. She had nothing because her illness, her Alzheimer's, bankrupted her. Even with her decades of experience as a nurse. And back then, the nurses were a lot more holistic. When I first was diagnosed with herpes, I was told there was nothing I could do except for take a cyclovir every day for the rest of my life. I came home and she was the first person I talked to. She gave me 8 supplements to consider taking. Actually, not consider. She gave me 8 supplements and said, here are the things that you need to take. You don't need a cyclovir. That's actually what really kicked off my curiosity about how to not feel like medications were the only way, because I knew that medications were toxic. And when I had the UTIs, they told me, Macrobid, take it every day for the rest of your life. And I'm like, these things don't make sense. And the doctors didn't have answers for me. When I went in, and my dad was with me actually, because I was mortified when I found out I had herpes, and I was actually misdiagnosed. You can go listen to our black box warning episode about that. And also just many things that I like to share with you guys to realize we need to talk about root causation, what actually creates these diseases or viruses or symptoms, whatever it is that you're struggling with. What is the root cause of them? Where do they come from? How could you be free from them? And that's what Susan's story is all about. But before I bring her on, just as a reminder, the whole herpes story, when I went in to talk to my doctor, I had 3 different consultations, and I kept saying, well, where does this even come from? And is it something that can be transmitted to another person? And they said, yes, but we're not aware of how, and you could be asymptomatic and you could give somebody herpes without knowing it. And I'm like, so there's this virus that I have, and I have it. I have the information inside of me, but what does that mean for them? I don't want to put them at risk. And they're like, well, yeah, then, but we never know. Okay, this is just gaslighting. The main reason we even get STDs at all is because of parasites. So there's so many things that we like to share and teach our patients when we do these root cause resets, because you don't have to feel like you're this disgusting germ that's going to possibly infect everybody at any given time. You could take your health back, you could take your power back, you can get the body of your dreams, the energy that you desire, and you don't have to subject yourself to so many of these things. When I wanted to get off birth control, I went to go talk to my first naturopathic doctor. I was 30 years old, and I asked her, what do I do to get off birth control? How do I support my body so that it's not such a blunt force to my hormones and my endocrine glands? And she's like, oh, just take more fish oil. And I'm like, I paid you $500 to tell me to take more fish oil. So anyway, there's stories like this. I could go on for days. Susan works with people as well. But I want to bring her on because her story is your story. Her story is in some way related to my story, my family's story. The reason I even became a doctor of traditional naturopathy, my grandmother that died of Alzheimer's, she didn't do what I want to talk to you guys about today. And actually, if you look genetically, because I ran the 23andMe test before I realized it was a great way that they could collect information and data on us, I actually have 3 out of 4 of the single nucleopolymorphisms, which are called SNPs, that code me for a predisposition to Alzheimer's. It's called the APOE. We call it the APOE4 SNP. And so I have a genetic predisposition to it. So I am just as interested in the information that I'm sharing with you guys today as Susan has learned from the root cause reset, where we do, as you are. We look at, just so you know what the root cause reset is we look at 3 different data points for toxic burden. We look at the mold mycotoxins, which are the number 1 reason why people are getting sick today unknowingly, and doctors won't test for this. They don't treat for this. They're not taught this stuff. We look for heavy metals, and then we look for environmental toxins. And when we did this root cause reset, every single patient out of 18 patients had off the charts levels of herbicides, pesticides, and insecticides. And just as a reminder, you guys, speaking of looking at other people as our savior, Trump did not only not get rid of the glyphosate issue, which glyphosate has herbicides in it. Roundup is glyphosate. Glyphosate is the number 1 herbicide used in the United States that is killing us, that is making our gut destroyed. It is causing leaky gut, leaky brain, and is the birthplace of autoimmune disease. He not only promised that he would get rid of that, he also said that he would do this with Bobby Kennedy because there's a lot of education around it. But at this point, they're now still keeping it in supply. It is a national security threat to not remove it. And then they basically were working on, I don't know where it is at this point, making them immune, meaning making any manufacturer of herbicides, Roundup, things like that, immune to lawsuits. So people are dying from this stuff. They're getting cancer from this. It's the number 1 cause of cancer, number 1 cause of autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, et cetera. We had another patient yesterday that was not diagnosed by her doctor properly for Hashimoto's, but we found it on her lab tests. So these are the things that you must know. If I created this whole root cause reset to say, this is my dream. If you go to a doctor, you hope that they're going to give you hope to find the solution, to find the answer, to find the root cause. Why am I sick? Let's fix it. They're not giving you that. This is giving you that. And we're doing another one in June. We're starting, enrollment ends June 15th, and then we get started on the 18th. So the reason I'm bringing on Susan is because number 1, she's a great human. Number 2, her story is incredible. And number 3, you typically people need to see the proof of what these things are, that we really do support people. And again, as I'm bringing her on, and let's introduce her because I love what she said. I'm finally in charge of my own health. So let's bring on Susan. Hey, there's Susan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm always excited.
I have a little cold, but because of you, it's totally turned around with that Navage parasite thing. Oh my gosh, I love that thing. That's worth a pearl. That's crazy. So I started doing that and just other things too. But yeah, and it's turning around. I couldn't even talk 2 days ago, and it's only Sunday, so I'm on the mend. Yeah.
Did you travel? Were you on an airplane recently? Because I know you were traveling recently.
No, we traveled. We did travel, but it's our own plane, so we didn't. Yeah. No, I had
Wow.
6 rugrats here and children, and 4 of them were sick, and I was
Yeah.
taken care of, and their parents were gone. So I kept bragging how good I am, and I'm like really cocky, and I got it. So I got humbled. Yeah,
You got the snot factory sickness.
for sure. And they're sneezing. I was laughing because they sneeze like this, achoo, and I go, you got to go up to your nose. So they were trying, but they missed.
Not a
Yep.
chew in their hand and then shake your
Yeah.
hand, which
Oh,
so
yeah.
many people do, right? And
Yeah.
and yeah, and so that's the thing, you guys. It's like I travel, Susan travels, we're around kids, we're around animals. So it's not about living in fear, like, oh my God, someone's sick. I'm gonna go, not see my grandkids and like isolate myself in a prison room. I'm gonna say to myself, hey, what can I do to upregulate my immune system so it can protect me? And what can I do when I get congested? And the Navage is so powerful. Did you learn about the Navage and the root cause reset, or was it before that?
No, I watched the Parasite, the Full Moon Parasite Cleanse, and I would say that's such a reasonable price. And my sister joined that one, and that's where I learned about it. But
Mhm.
once you're in the root cause reset, you have access to all the courses. So, isn't that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so anyway, I learned it there, and I'm telling you that I mean everybody needs one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's important to know like ear, nose, and throat stuff. I mean, maybe I don't know if you heard this before, Susan, but there's always little tidbits that people learn that maybe they've heard me say before, but we actually swallow 1 liter of saliva every single day.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. So,
Yep.
oral infections, nasal infections, a lot of the Botox and the fillers, which are actually causing women's bones. Well, anybody who uses fillers, it's causing their bones to dissolve. I mean, there's so many things that, obviously we learn from them over time by being poisoned, and then their awakening happens. But part of what I wanted to do when I announced the root cause reset this year is I said, you know what? Let's just give them everything. Let's give them the library of resources so that they have the Parasite Full Moon Challenge, the Warrior Cleanse, the Peptide Power Course, the breast implant, the explant solution, which I created for women who have breast implants. Let's just give them the encyclopedia of everything that they need so that they can thrive. And then they get to pick. So Susan, you chose to pick and go through the Full Moon Parasite Cleanse, which is not just taking ivermectin, isn't just taking fenbendazole and calling it a day. It's actually getting up in here where a lot of parasites, especially the microscopic ones, tend to love to live, especially the one that's causing people to want to change their gender and cause them to be infertile and crazy, which is the cat parasite that a lot of people have heard about, the Toxoplasma gondii. So let's get into your story because you came to us for a reason. I want to talk a little bit about your history because a lot of us learned the hard way. We learned the program way, like I mentioned. So where did you come from before, Susan? What did you try? You obviously have a history of breast cancer. There's a lot going on there. So let's talk about your story and what brought you here.
Well, like I said, I have a math science brain. I love science and things. I love when you say make it make sense. I thought, oh my gosh, it's what I've thought my whole life. And so I always study. I don't believe what people say to me, and all that through COVID and everything. So I'm always studying. I'm disappointed in the doctors, not all of them, but
Yeah.
they just, and some of them just don't, they're lazy. They don't want to learn and they don't want to look into things. So I feel like I'm out there all by myself trying to dictate what's going on. And, I find doctors that are really cool in a different state where I used to live. But anyway, so I've done everything. And even when you were talking, I thought, oh, I've done that genetic test. I've
Yeah.
done, SNPs. I mean, I've done everything I bet you can think of over the years, and it satisfies a need at that time, and then I go on, and mostly because I wanted to live a long time, and we've got 12 grandkids, and
Wow.
so my mother it was very sad. My mom was the most adorable little thing you've ever seen. Not Olympic, but she was a swimmer, competitive, almost went to the Olympics when she was young, and she died of Alzheimer's and colorectal cancer, and at 78, which is 10 years from now. And she worked out like a fiend. She was working out with teenagers at the club. And she was in the United States Hall of Fame for master swimming. So anyway, that was a
Insane.
wake-up call. I was like, holy moly, if she happens to her, I mean, I feel like it could happen to me. And I do have SNPs for cancer. And the Alzheimer's thing, I hate that. That scares me. And so I think what I was really researching you because I had breast cancer. And anyway, it was a journey because I listened to the doctor, but I didn't want to have no breasts at all. So I chose implants. And of course, at the time, you're so emotional. You want the cancer out. You want, you go to these good doctors and no one told me anything else. They're fine. They're safe. And there wasn't any black box warnings at the time, which I'm very aware of. So I had that done, and I chose the one that was a 3 surgery approach because of, risks. And I got all that. So anyway, it went over 2 insurance years. And I just asked my husband this morning, how much should we spend? And he said $20,000 out of pocket for our deductible. Of course, he had moved on to a different job, so we didn't have double insurance, which we had the year before, of course. And so, I mean, that's a big hit. You're paying for sickness, right? And I mean, this is a side note, but it's like when we balk a little bit, and everybody does, especially when you're retired, you're like, okay, there's funds, you're okay. But it's like, how much can you invest? But it's like, are you going to invest in your health? Are you going to pay for sickness? You're going to pay one way or another. And so I'm really a big advocate, but I've never felt like it all came together with you. So I found you because of a breast implant illness thing I was looking at, and then I found your book, Killer Breasts. And so I started reading that in December, and then I decided to join your Warrior Cleanse. And then I think I did the root cause reset when I was listening to your Warrior Cleanse when I was actually in Cancun, and I was exercising. And so I was listening to what you were doing, and then you offered the and I said, well, that makes sense, because I can't stand, I feel like it's whack-a-mole all the time, oh, this is wrong, bang. It's like, I don't want whack-a-mole. I want a plan, and I want to be in charge because I get it, and I don't trust everybody. And so I did that, and then you started the testing, and I just feel so supported because, I mean, I try not to be sensitive, not to take too much of your guys' time on these calls, but I feel like I'm satisfied with the support you've given me. And if I have a problem, I can ask it the next week or the next week. And then from there, I just decided to join the Elite VIP. So I'm in the know and I have access. I feel like you're my binky,
Oh, that's cute.
But, I can't say enough about you guys, because for the first time in my life, I feel like, okay, you spell it out. It's like, you've got, and I've talked to my sister and this and that, but I said, you got to start working on your diet. And then you got to, start working on drainage. Is your system working? Are you getting rid of the stuff? You don't start attacking things till it's working. And then, reasonably. And then you start the detox, and then you start to rebuild, and on you go. But it's like, it's steps, and it's so methodical. It makes total sense. And I'm thinking, here I am. I'm not quite 68, 2 more weeks. But I'm 68, and it's like, for the first time, and I have been that way my whole life. Like, it's almost a problem for me, because I want to learn so much that I almost get too carried away. And that was in dentistry. I was a dentist for 40 years, and I had a whole health kind of dental practice. And so I was always going to classes. I went to dental school, I think 3 times with all the education I had. But I always wanted to learn. And it's like, I never want to stop learning. So now I'm focused on myself, not all this other stuff. And so I love this. And, is it a moldy kind of business where you repairs things? And so I'm getting them some supplements and talking to them, they're within reason, how your kids are, grown children.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then it was cute. He just sent me a text and go, what do you think that some of my workers should do? So anyway,
he's supporting you. Yay.
Yeah.
That's good news. Family's hard to crack.
Very, but yeah. So anyway, that's kind of where I am. I don't want to lose my mind, and I don't want to have cancer. So
yes.
Yeah.
And you want to lose weight too. I mean, the cancer is a metabolic disease, and
yes,
so when people talk about, get on there's the whole conversation about just get on GLPs. Of course, it's going to reduce your risk for disease in general or metabolic related diseases like cancer. But if it's, I used to say this years ago, if it's just about the weight loss and your main goal is to lose weight and that's it, then you're in the wrong place, because you're going to want the easy button, and you're not going to, you don't really love your body. You know, if it's to lose weight because you also understand that there are other diseases that you have or that you might get or you did before that are related to that you want to also boost your beauty, your energy, your immunity all at the same time. Like that's what we're talking about, getting results and keeping them. You know, we're not the easy button. And I actually wanted to share some things, Susan, because I think this is really important. There's a lot of people who hear these experts that I'm about to mention, and they talk about, like, for example, chelation, right? And you were a dentist before, and if you're working in a dental office, or if you're somebody who's listening to this and you have had silver fillings, or you've had root canals, or things that are going on in the mouth, like this is what they say is 76% of disease begins in the mouth. And then, like I mentioned earlier, you swallow a liter of saliva every day. So you're swallowing whatever plaque or poisons or parasites or pathogens that are in your mouth that have not been addressed. And then also people who work in dental offices, they have high level of exposure to mercury and aluminum, because that's what silver fillings are made of. And then all the contaminants and the bugs, right? So of course you wear the mask, but somehow you are still talking to the patient as they're leaving the office. Anyway, I can go on and on. But this is what you did. And being somebody who is intelligent and wants the real answers. I mean, I think that we all should want this for ourselves. Be curious, question everything, be discerning, do your own research. And I like to make it easy by saying, here's the research that ChatGPT or Google or NBC News, they won't show you this. Here's the starting point. But go do your own research and be discerning, and then do what feels right to you. But we give you the framework so that at least you can be your own best doctor. And not to say you have to become a doctor, but here's what you did. And I wanted to share this, Susan. So when we asked you what you tried before, you mentioned exactly. I know it's like always that way.
I wrote it down.
Yeah. So I'll tee you off so you can go deeper into this. You wrote, I have done EDTA IVs, which, you guys, that's heavy metal chelation, which I don't recommend just jumping into that, because you want to make sure your kidneys are functioning well. You also want to be sure that you know where you're exposed to toxins too, so that you don't just detox, you also reduce your toxic burden from the outside. That's what the whole root cause reset education is all about. The very first 4 weeks, we're talking about where you expose toxins. Otherwise you're cleansing, and then you're going to have to keep doing it like that every day for the rest of your life. But you did them with Dr. Anna Mahalcha, and then other therapies. You've had dark field microscopy done many times over the years. And you mentioned it was really cool to be in Yum, Washington for 3 days and look at the dark field microscope. And there's definitely improvement in the quality of those things when you do treatments. But you also did things like ozone, methylene blue, NAD, Myers cocktails, UVA blood, DMSO. You were treated for mold mycotoxin with drugs. I'm going to get into this with you for 6 months, only to find some got better and other things got worse. You saw Dr. Carfield and Boise for muscle testing and supplements. Seemed like there was never a plan, but just to evaluate. And this is also what I've seen with muscle testing doctors. They muscle test you every month and they give you new supplements, but there's never any conversation or testing. I don't say never testing, never, but I've actually worked with other doctors and said, if you're going to do these muscle tests, it's also important to look at the environment and spend time with them. So let's get into all the things that you tried, because I know there were a lot. So we were talking about, we covered, like, you've done things in allopathy. Now what are the things that you've done in naturopathy and foundational medicine that didn't work?
Well, I've done concierge medicine, and when I was in Portland, and anyway, I don't know. It's kind of dizzying. I guess the most interesting thing I did was the EDT chelation, and we did check my kidneys before we did that. The filtration rate, but that blew my mind. And because they take a sample on a Monday, and you don't do IVs. You do IVs every day, but they do them, not everything all at once. You stay up there, and then on the last day, normally like the 4th day, but anyway, they do another thing of your blood, and it blew me away how much better my blood looked. And I mean, seeing the blood clump and almost like dead, and you see these things in your blood, and you're like, oh my goodness. And then I'm thinking, well, that's going to your brain. And so anyway, I did that, and I did like Dr. Anna, but I was like, well, how often do I need to do this? And I mean, is this never ending? And, so I didn't feel like my body was being supported with moving forward. So I liked that aspect, and I thought it was really cool. And I did think it helped some of my metals come down because once upon a time my mercury was higher, and I've done things over the years, so it came down. But anyway, I like that. And then I've had brain testing, as far as how fast your brain's going, and I've done the gut testing, the Zoomer test, and genetic test, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I just didn't have a plan. It was good education, but now I feel like I know kind of what my body's doing. I'm trying to rebuild my body and get rid of the blockers and have a better environment. And I used to tell patients in my dental office, at some point your body goes bankrupt.
Mm.
It can't work on everything. So if you have a heart problem and you have periodontal disease, the body's going, what the heck? You use so much of your immune system to keep your gums healthy. And I'll never forget this patient that had a heart transplant, and his gums were terrible. And he goes, I'm fine. I have a new heart. I was just like, oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I studied a lot of that, and also there can be spirochetes in the mouth, and we had a microscope in our office where we swab and look, and it also freaked me out because they found spirochetes in the brain, and they think that's one version of Alzheimer's. I mean, I've read things where they think there's 4 or 5 versions, and so, well, what a great way to get up to the brain is, I mean, think about your roots, your gum. It's not very far into your nose, and there's a little net there, the ethmoid sinus, that goes right into your brain. And so I was really passionate about that, trying to get people to pay attention to the cause and effect. But I don't know. I just feel now, I mean, I want to come back and test at some point down the road, but I feel now I have done the things that you recommended in the steps. I've only done 2 parasite cleanses, and I still have 1 more to do for the full moon. But I feel now like I have a plan, and I really never get sick. And honestly, the last time I think I got sick was 4 years ago. So this is unusual for me. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like my immune system's really good.
Mhm.
So anyway, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. I mean, I think it also adds a lot of weight to how people gaslight themselves and dismiss stepping into their own power by being their own, accountable health leader, and being curious about, like, well, this patient you're talking about with his heart transplants, like, well, why did your heart fail to begin with?
Right.
And that's the thing, is like, most of us are told that's just genetic. Oh, we make a decision too. And this is, I'm not going to get sidetracked by this, but beliefs are half the battle. So my dad had a belief that, well, my dad lived to 55. So therefore, I guess I'm going to die at 55 too. And that we can literally tell our body and ourselves that, okay, prepare to die. I'm 54. So, and then you hit that age, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, I'm in the afterlife. Like, I don't understand. I was gonna die at 55, or like, I'm gonna get this because my grandma got this. Like, for me, I looked at the genetic testing, and I was like, well, I'm predisposed to it, but we say that genetics are up to 5% at best of why you get sick, but epigenetics is what Susan's talking about, what Susan's learned, which is, what are the toxins, what is the environment, what is the EMF load around me and in me, so that I can give my body the best shot at surviving and thriving. And it's not just about living longer, it's about the quality of life. And also the years that you weren't aware, of course, that like breast implants and cancer and all the things, that is a sign of a dysregulated immune system. That I love what you said, Susan. It's eventually, what did you say? Your health goes bankrupt. How did you say that?
Well, no, I would try and describe to people that how our immune system works. And I
Oh,
said that you use so much of your immune system for your mouth. And so when people have an abscessed tooth and it's not bothering them and they don't want to deal with it, the amount of immune system to keep that walled off is taken away from something else that it needs to work on. And so you have other things going on in your body, and at some point the body goes, what do you want me to work on, because I can't do everything, gives up the ghost. And so you go bankrupt, your immune system goes bankrupt. And I saw it all the time. And so we were always trying to get people off to the doctor for cardiovascular, all kinds of things.
yeah.
um
You say immunologically bankrupt, and I say immunity zero, like zero immunity. It's so similar how you were teaching that, and that I see it too. And we see that in stool analysis. We don't do that in the root cause reset, but I want to share the image of Susan's labs and also get the reaction from you of what you learned when you saw these things, because I think this was your first toxic burden analysis other than doing the micrology, right? The dark field microscopy.
Oh, no, I've had heavy metal testing. I've had mycotoxin testing, but
Okay.
this is urinary. That was blood, but yeah.
Right. Right. So this is what her toxic burden was when we did hers in January, and again we did 18 patients. Everybody had high levels of BPA. Everybody had high levels of herbicide and herbicide metabolites, I should say, because we test for glyphosate as well as the metabolites as well as atrazine. But Susan, these were your high ones. So what we're looking at here, you guys, and this is the type of testing we do in the root cause reset, which I believe is the first valuable step to how can I reclaim my health and what's holding me back from being well. Blood testing you guys get all the time. You get your health check every year from your doctor. If I had a heart, well, this would be the very first start, right? So what we're looking at here is I want to show you what the little emblems mean. So this one BPA. You can see on the top right in the blue there where it says environmental toxins. So she had high levels of BPA. The upper limit is 5 and she had 17.85. So she had close to 4 times higher levels of BPA. Oftentimes we do see patients are like, well, I don't even drink out of plastic water bowls. I have BPA free this or that. So we have to dig deeper. Where is it coming from? Because that's a xenoestrogen. And this concern for me, for Susan and all of you, is Susan had cancer before. But cancer is a significant contributor to cancer because it's a xenoestrogen and it will cause you to be estrogen dominant and then your cells start to mutate. It's one of the many causes, right? Bismuth and thallium, these were really high heavy metals that came up on her. We very rarely see heavy metals come up that high in people. So then it's like, well, not just how do we get these out of the body? Sure, you could do EDTA, and that's, I do EDTA. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But it's also where are these things coming from and how can we be on an accountable day-to-day basis with our own lives to, because you have to go to a doctor, pay a lot of money, get EDTA, get a needle in your arm. How can you chelate these things daily in a very simplified fashion? And then the ones on the bottom here that you can see, they're mycotoxins. Those are mold mycotoxins. That's mold waste. So we have several different mold mycotoxins. This is our greatest concern for our patient cohort, who everybody had really high levels. The most of all of them were mycotoxins. Let's look at the second one, then we'll get Susan's feedback on this. So the second one we're going to show is the intermediate levels, the ones that are in yellow. And let's show that one, Paula, so that we can see we look for high levels. We look for the other ones that are not subpar, but we call them suboptimal. These are things that are not best tested in blood. And so when you go to your doctor and you say, oh, my doctor tested for everything, they're not testing for toxins, you guys. So this is why it's really, really important. So these first ones that you can see here, the acids, those are the metabolites that are coming from the pesticides, herbicides, insecticides. And then the things that Bobby Kennedy and the MAGA movement is not protecting us from. So we have to protect ourselves from it. There's the parabens, and parabens oftentimes are medications. They prescribe you medications which contain poisons, which then don't do anything to fix the root cause. They Band-Aid it, and then you get poisoned by them. So we look for solutions to these things, often including peptides, bioregulators, and of course, environmental medicine, looking at where you're exposed to these things. So we see parabens often in people. Then arsenic, barium, cadmium, cesium, and uranium. Those are also heavy metals. And these are sizable levels that came up in your lab test. So I want to come back to you, Susan, because arsenic is something that we're very concerned about. That comes from water, uranium. Where did you learn that? Because you have done toxic testing in the past. What did you learn about these labs specifically and your environment and your exposure to them, and how did you make those changes?
Well, there was a lot of things on there that were different than what I've looked at before. I was really upset about the black mold, the Reardon or whatever it is. But, and at the time we were talking about it, so I ordered those dishes, to check around our house. We have a pretty new house, and they were nothing. There was nothing. So then I'm like, and I was going to ask you, this is just an example. We were in Cancun right before I did this test. The minute I got home, I did have some problems with GI down there, so I took Pepto-Bismol. So bismuth was high. I think you clear that out of your body pretty quick. But I was curious if that would be that one. And the other thing is, other than I lived 20 years in a home where we had water problems, oh my gosh, probably I haven't been there since 2012. So it's been, 15 years ish. But then I was wondering, is that where the black mold's coming from? Or was it in the hotel room in Cancun?
Right.
Everything's moist. So that one kind of freaked me out. So that one I'm still kind of curious about. I mean, I did so many things. I got kind of carried away financially that I've got some things on my wish list. I'm going down. So I tried the cheaper, just the Petri dishes all over the house. But anyway, that, and then the metals were interesting. I think it's the water. I did, on my way home from Cancun, I'd always drink big things of water. I buy it in the airport. And again, I didn't know how long those things, and if that's going to influence your urine test when you get back. But I do use a Berkey, and it's an older Berkey, so the filters are the good filters, not the ones they changed. And then I have in the filter baby in my shower and in my bathroom, but I don't have anything in the kitchen sink. And I'm really strict with my husband. We can't make coffee from the Berkey, and I did other things, but I'm still, the black mold is still something I'm trying to get my head around. And just, having to do some more medical stuff, and, being conscious for a water bottle from Mike Adams. And
oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. Susan, I want to make sure we have enough time too, because you've done a lot of things. We look at literally hundreds, if not thousands of factors in your lifestyle. So it's never like an overnight thing where everything just gets better. It's literally rebuilding your whole life so that you're building a sanctuary, that you're living in a sanctuary that feeds your body wellness, so that you're not weeding with illness, because 96% of toxins we're exposed to are in our own home or hotel rooms. Susan, our director, Paula, she's the one helping to produce this show. When we went to Miami to film for my TV show, we were in mold. We were in the Glade plugins and the fragrances and all the toxic cleaning products. And we asked them specifically at that Airbnb, please do not use these things. And they still did it. So, you walk in and you're like, your face, your eyes, your throat, your nose are attacked, like assaulted, strangled by like this fragrance stuff. And people don't realize that either, that I've gone to hotel rooms or Airbnbs before and got sick, air quotes sick, but it's toxic, from just walking into a cloud of contaminants. And I went in and I go in as like a health detective, and I'm like, where are these Glade plugins? And I find them hidden and I unplug all of them. And then miraculously overnight, I'm better. So I think these are things that people don't know. And so environmental is so big, because it rather than going to that doctor and continue to take more and more antibiotics, which then deplete your already bankrupted immune system even further, now you're subject to this, the snot factory when you have kids and everything running around getting sick, sneezing on you. So the whole goal is to arm your immune system, reduce toxic burden, and start to take your health and your life back. And that does take some time. I want to make sure that when we're ending with you, Susan, because your book led, my book led you to us, Killer Breasts, which is the image right there. And a lot of women don't realize that their breast implants are a significant contributing factor to first drainage, because we can't drain toxins out when we're congested right here in front of our heart, where a lot of the lymph nodes drain in that area. They get congested. It's like the traffic never ends, right? So that buildup is real. The mold is very real for women who have breast implant illness. So because I'm sure women are now asking and wondering, women get breast cancer. They're told to get breast implants. Now this is a newer one. They put mesh material around it to hold them in place. Or if they don't get implants, they put mesh material there. So in the future, there's a place for them to sit. So women start to get autoimmune disease after they get these things implanted, which is insult to injury. After they've already had cancer, now you're subjecting them to other cancers, right? So what was your journey from when you read the book? What have you decided to do, with the breast implants and everything else? Because a lot of women, I'm sure, are wondering.
Well, I will probably deal with that, but right now I want my body working. I want to get down to more of an ideal weight. I don't know what I haven't even opened your program on that issue. I will, but my goal was kind of to spend this year on myself, getting healthier, getting a grasp. And then I want to start of next year, I'm going to start dealing with that, and I'll probably bring up questions at that point. But yeah, I know it's something I have to deal with. As far as I know, I don't have any symptoms. But I'm also a person that my body is quiet. So I don't have, sometimes I get surprised that I have something. It doesn't tell me that there's something wrong. So that's, but I appreciate what you said. It makes sense. I mean, I have a vibration plate, which I get on, which helps with the lymphatics, but that's in the future. But yeah, I want to get more educated on that, but I want to deal with myself this year. This year, I'd like to come back and retest maybe in the fall to see how I look and if there's still some other things I need to do. And then once I get a handle of that, I'm down more to my ideal weight. I'm built my body back up and I'm stronger. And then I'll deal with that. It's in the future.
And Susan, I almost forgot before we cut you loose, and I can do my updates. You no big deal. You lost 30 pounds, and that is really, really challenging for women who have breast implants. When I had breast implants, I went from 135 to 150, and I could not lose any more weight. I was just chasing inflammation, and I'm like, wait a minute, what if my breast implants were the arsonists? And one day I asked my chiropractor to muscle test me. And I said, wait a minute. Because every muscle testing session, just like you, every month I'd go in, or even weekly sometimes, because my back was so out of alignment all the time. And I said, wait a minute. Oh my God, you said I have parasites still. And I've been doing parasite cleansing for 3 months. And I still have parasites. Like, what the hell? And I said to him, my arm up, I go, ask my body if my body thinks that these breast implants are the parasites. And he goes, no way. And that's when I decided that moment I need to write my book, because my body literally thought these are the parasites. So women could do all the parasite cleansing and mold detox in the world, but as long as these things are here, they're harboring those and they can't get out because they're caught between the implants and the shell. So I think it's phenomenal. And it's actually very rare that you were able to, with breast implants in, lose 30 pounds, because it's complicated when you have them. So what do you think that was all about? And I would love you to share what things you thought contributed to that.
Well, the warrior cleanse, giving up the seed oils and the carbs and all that and eating better, everything. And I lost the first 15 just in lifestyle. And then I think adding in some of the peptides and exercising, and I'm just more motivated. And it's not worth it when I look at a cookie, or I'm just like, okay, I don't need that. And all of it together, the whole program, the parasites, the mold, everything is just like, I'm getting older, so I got to get serious. It's time. So, and I want to lose another 30. So it's probably going to take me into the fall. And then I do want to retest and just see. And if I need to focus more on my environment, I don't want to deal with the implants until I feel like I've got my environment. And granted, I'm not going to get all the way there. But to me, in my science brain, you don't jump over there, the whack-a-mole over there, until you've got this one working. And so that's kind of where I am.
Your value system is so beautiful, Susan. People were so lucky to have you as their dentist, because to think of it like that, like holistically, scientifically, and then think about it from a toxins and immune system perspective, is women, when they find my book and they start reading about how toxic breast implants are, they want to go explant tomorrow. And I'm like, no, hold on. Give yourself, give me, give my team, give the Warrior Cleanse, the Explant Solution, the Peptide Power Course, give the VIP group, get in here. Let us support you for 3 months at least before you get these things out. Because can you imagine, their immune system is pretty much shot. When I looked at my secretory IgA marker and my stool analysis, which is the gold standard of how we measure the strength and resilience of an immune system, the ideal range is to be like at 1500, and I was at 44. So my immune system was functioning at 3% of optimal when I figured out, okay, it's time to get these things out. So it's important to do what Susan's doing before you just run in to have the explant surgery, because oftentimes people then, they don't do well on the other side of explant surgery. They actually feel worse and they think, oh, well, why did I get the implants out to begin with? So what Susan's doing, I hope it's speaking to your heart. I hope it's speaking to your mind, your immune system, your cells and everything, because the first step is to test for toxins. That's the first step. And that's why we are cleanse, heal, and then ignite. So I'm going to turn Susan loose, and I'm going to cut straight into the things that we're looking at with the updates. Susan, thank you so much for being here.
Yes,
thank you
thank
for sharing your
you.
story multiply.
You are amazing, and you're God sent, I think. And the people that you're helping, I mean, you've got to feel so proud of yourself. So thank you. I really believe in the Holy Spirit, and I think that I was directed to you, and you're awesome. And you're humble, and you're sincere and real. And thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
Yep.
Takes one to know one, right? I received that. Thank you so much. You deserve all of this. You deserve it. We'll see you in the VIP group.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Susan. All right, you guys. Susan's, there's some things I didn't even know about Susan in this episode. So I went a little bit longer than I intended to, because I really hope that she inspired your heart, and that's why I wore a heart today on my necklace, because if we're heart-centered and heart-focused, and it's not just about what's happening out there, we listen to our heart, we listen to our gut, we listen to the God within. And I hear this so commonly from people. They say, God spoke to me through you, and they end up here. And this is the belief that our body was intended to heal. It wasn't designed for cancer, Alzheimer's disease, immune system dysfunction, obesity, overweight, anger, sleepless nights. It wasn't designed for that. Your body's designed to heal. It's up to you to make the decision to say yes to yourself, to learning how you can activate that innate healing wisdom within your body, within your temple. So we're going to cut straight over to my updates, but I want to share with you guys my favorite tool I created 11 years ago is the Warrior Cleanse. When you join us for the Root Cause Reset Masterclass, you get this included, as well as all of my courses, and you get 8 weeks with us. So I want to share that. You could always purchase it on your own as well. It's up to you when you're ready in this level, but I want to share a little bit about that. So we'll cut to that, and I'll come right back. I'm going to interrupt the show real quick because I want to share something important with you. Did you know the main reason weight loss, detoxes, and even peptides don't feel like they work as well or backfire has nothing to do with the tool and everything to do with whether your body can actually clear what it's being asked to release. And all the things that you're trying to do that you feel like are all the right things, but your body feels no different, is because it's not about what you do. It's about what your body is able to receive and then clear and metabolize. Because when you burn fat or start detoxing, your body isn't just shrinking. It's releasing stored toxins, hormones, and waste that have to move out. And if your terrain, AKA your drainage pathways, your gut, liver, bile flow, kidneys, lymph are not working well, these disease-causing toxins have nowhere to go. So you stall, you feel worse, symptoms come back, or the weight rebounds. You've probably seen the data showing that those who stop Ozempic gain weight 4 times faster than dieters alone. This is a big part of why. So think about it like this. It's like being stuck in traffic on the freeway, especially in LA. You can press the gas all you want, but if everything's backed up, you're just burning gas and going nowhere. The traffic has to clear before you could actually move, and that's exactly how the body works. So that's what's happening when people jump into GLPs, peptides, diets, or detoxes without preparing or simultaneously addressing their terrain. It's not that the tools don't work, it's that the body can't keep up with what it's being asked to absorb and release. But the good news is when we fix that first, or alongside peptides, everything changes because you're loving your terrain and caring for your drainage pathways and organs. So one of our patients, Joanne, she lost 25 pounds, reversed her biological age by 15 years, and avoided double knee replacement surgery. And Wendy didn't just lose 20 pounds of pure fat. She regained her energy, improved her mood, and actually built muscle. Both of these ladies, as well as other men we work with, just like other patients too in the ministry group when we're doing our VIP calls, they get their lives back and a lot more. And it's because of what I teach inside the Warrior Cleanse, which I've been doing for decades now, how to open up drainage, support detox pathways, and get your body actually flowing again. So results don't just happen, they stick. It's like turning the switch on to your garbage disposal. Otherwise, you have a pond of waste just hanging out in your sink. Because when your terrain is restored, everything works better. You can go to thewarriorcleanse.com and own it for life. Or if you want the full system, you could join my elite VIP membership at dianekaiser.com/VIP and get access to all of my programs, the Warrior Cleanse, Peptide Power, Parasite Full Moon Challenge, Bioregulator course, and more, which is over $2,000 in value. I hope to see you there, where you can ask questions and get support from me live. All right, back to the show. All right. My own little commercial. It's the first time I've ever aired that, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I got to put my glasses on for this one. Got to put my blue blockers on. because now I'm going to get straight into the stories that have been happening in my own neighborhood of people who are taking random peptides from gym bros. Not to say that these gym bros are not smart, because they are the true biohackers. I've been a biohacker since I was 17. I didn't even know it. But let's start, Paula. Let's show them the image of real life peptides that were recommended and purchased by a patient of mine locally. And I know this person. He's a great guy, but he's a gym bro, and he doesn't do proper lab testing. He doesn't do a full health history and or a session with the patient to understand also their exposure to toxins, or that this specific patient of mine actually has breast implants. So she started these peptides. Let's show them the image of these peptides. Oh, all right. Okay. So would you inject these things? I'm just asking real life question, you guys. Would you inject these things in your body? Would you inject these things? Would you drink them? Would you apply them topically? Why or why not? So these are peptides that I consider these black market peptides. Why would I call them black market peptides? And you'll see things on my social media where I talk about this. They're black market because there's no labels on these. No labels. Yes, they come from China. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But is there any website or link that you can go to that shows a proper certificate of analysis that's been done to test for mycotoxins, the very ones that we just saw on Susan's lab analysis that can make you even more sick? Did they test properly for heavy metals? Did they test properly for contaminants or any kind of other environmental toxins that we see on our patients all day long? No. Is there a label that says it's 10 milligrams or 5 milligrams or anything? Is there any accountability that happens if you inject and have symptoms, which my patient did? No. So this is a lesson. Do not purchase random peptides from random gym bros who are not doing full analysis on you, lab testing, blood testing, health screenings, and more. Okay. My patient got sick. The very first day she took these, she got sick. Let's now show them the recommendations and the protocol that she was given, because it was very naked. There wasn't any information about how long to take these things for, if to take them in the AM or the PM, how to cycle on or off, how to titrate, how to combine them, none of that information. So let's show that image so you can see what she was given. Now, this is what a lot of people are given. People are given just some random, take this, take 10 units, but they're not told like, okay, combine them or not. Let me actually find the image for you guys. It's actually, the document is in there, Paula. It is actually called Peptide Protocol Mobile Friendly. So that is the document. I want you guys to see this because this patient specifically was recommended peptides, not only peptides, but about 10, I think 10 or so different supplements. Thanks, Paula. So these are great peptides. These are great peptides. There's no argument about that. But they're, okay, pull the needle to this, injection site here, notes, mixing instructions. So, but notice there's no take for 8 weeks and then cycle off. There's no titration recommendations. Like, for example, if we're looking at GHKCU, I would start somebody on 5 first and then work their way up to 10. That's called titration. We also give our patient recommendations, and also what you find in the Peptide Power course and what we'll be talking about in the Root Cause Masterclass is that maybe you start with MOTS-C first to really, really amp up mitochondria so that your body can then start receiving the other peptides better. So let's scroll down to the micronutrient support too, because this patient was also recommended to take, scroll down, Paula, because you could see like another 8 of them, I think, after that. There's, I think, 10 different supplements that she was recommended. But if you could take a screenshot, maybe, Paula, and you could see the rest of them, there's a whole bunch of other supplements that were recommended, and there's no information about the brand. There's no information about other things that may be included in these. So we get patients that have supplement fatigue. And if you look at this, there was, I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 supplements that she was recommended. But no health history, no labs, no environmental exposure, no order. Start this, then add this. There is a dose, like with, let's say, methyl B12, 1,000 to 2,500 mcg daily. But what do you do? Where do you start? Which brand? Like, the brands matter too, which is why we love Cellcore. Cellcore is coming from the earth, natural. They're chelators. They're also mineral donators. So we are very, very, very picky, and I'm very, very protective over the things that I recommend to you guys. okay, we can stop this, Paul. I just want to make sure I showed this. But now I have access to this patient's blood testing analysis. Were these the very first peptides I would have recommended or supplements for her? No. And she ended up getting sick, nauseous, and these peptides made her feel worse. Some of them are making her feel better, but first thing I told her is it's up to you if you want to keep taking these. But they're good peptides. I just have no idea where they came from. We have to stand behind companies that you can source from that actually are doing proper testing. And in fact, Limitless, the one that we love the most, it costs them close to $10 to test every single vial, not like one vial among 100 or 1,000 of the batch. They test every single vial. And a lot of people are buying peptides from China that are like $9 a vial. But is there actually a certificate? You get the idea, you guys. So it is truly the wild, wild west out there. This is my caution to not just randomly take peptides. Okay, so this is why health history assessments and proper lab testing really matters before embarking on a peptide protocol. And the one that we actually use with most patients that you could do is free, the assessment. So this could actually be even more valuable than basic blood testing. And if you join us in the VIP group, or if you join, and I'm in the elite VIP group where we talk about regenerative medicine, peptides, stem cell, high dose IVs, things like that. But if you are in the root cause reset, you get access to all of that. My elite VIP group where we talk about this twice a month, you get the VIP group. So I might sound like a commercial at this point, but the value is huge. I'm giving you everything that you need to become your own best doctor. So this is real life examples. Susan, you heard her today, her example, as well as many others, like the ones that I talked about, like with Wendy and Joanne. These are women who spent thousands on peptides and got little or no results because they skipped the basics. And so this is what you can do to avoid this. We're going to talk about it in the root cause reset. And then immunity. I wanted to end on this. Why is immunity the top priority if you care about weight loss, energy, healthy aging, cognitive function, and disease prevention? So your immune system is specifically tied to your endocrine glands, and your endocrine glands decide whether or not you lose weight or not, whether or not your body stores fat or releases it or uses it for energy. There is a toxic and pathogenic exposure that right now many of us need to know about to help protect your immune system, support your metabolism, and improve your ability to lose weight, because it's not just all about GLPs. GLPs are not going to stimulate your immune system and support your immune system. So I think it's important to really suss this out. Let's show a picture of the ticks. Paula, my friend, this same patient texted me a picture of ticks being found in my area. And right now, they're making it rain ticks in the East Coast of the United States. They are now about to release millions of mosquitoes in Florida. And a lot of these carry vector-borne illnesses that could cause alpha-gal, which makes you allergic to meat. They can give you Lyme disease. They can give you Bartonella. They can give you Babesia. We look at all of this in our Chi assessment when we're working with our patients in the root cause reset. But people don't really see ticks in this area. And if you scroll down, you could actually see the very picture of the tick. And she actually has a video. We don't have to show the video. But these are ticks. And so it's not just something that's happened in the United States. It's not just raining ticks there. These are coming from animals. And these animals, who knows if they're getting vaccinated in this country? I don't know. But in the United States, we do know that these deer are being injected with COVID shots. And we've shared it on other podcasts where they're getting this like zombie disease. And then we can't eat. Then that also takes away our ability to eat meat. And for hunters. So it's pretty disgusting what's happening, our exposure right now to so many different things that could cause pathogenic overload. So our immune system is struggling. It deserves better. It deserves and absolutely must be prioritized. So cancer, autoimmune disease, illness of any kind. And I don't mean to sound like Debbie Downer or Die Downer. I'm Dr. Die, so you don't die. So, but these things can actually accelerate your death very quickly. It could be an all of a sudden death, even if you didn't get the COVID shot. So in order to support your immune system, we need to find out what your exposure is. We need to arm your immune system so that, like I said earlier, no matter what exposures that you have, your immune system goes, no big deal. I know what to do with that. It's not overwhelmed, like Susan said earlier. So we work with things like thymosin alpha-1 and KBV, and also LL37. I had a friend, she was bit by fire ants the other day, and it was hurting. And I'm like, okay, fire ants. First thing her body's doing is producing a lot of, your body produces its own vaccine. It produces histamines. It produces secretory glands, secretory chemicals. So immunoglobulins, it starts to produce your own anti-venom factory. So the first thing I said to her as we were icing her foot, I said, do you have LL37, KPV, and thymosin alpha-1 at home? And she said, yes. I said, okay, tomorrow I want you to consider drinking your own urine in the morning. I did a podcast with David Wolf about this like a couple weeks ago. Drink your own urine, and you don't have to do this now, but we're talking about a lot of this stuff. You might think I'm crazy for this, but go listen to the episode. You'll learn more. If you don't drink your own urine, fine. Then do these peptides, thymosin alpha-1, KBV, thymosin, and LL37. You will know exactly why I recommend this in the Peptide Power course, and you are going to get access to that if you guys are in the Root Cause Reset Masterclass. So obviously you can hear me tease out a lot of these different resources that I have, but I want you to have the full library. You deserve all of them so that at any point you could access them for any relevant information. So what we're doing, class begins on June 18th. June 18th is where we're going to start a Root Cause Reset Masterclass. You guys are going to get these labs delivered to your own home. You urinate in a little vial, and within less than a month, we have your lab results. In the first 3 weeks, we're talking about where you expose to these things. What are your exposures in your area? Is it high EMF? And there's data centers being built all over the place. That would be super high EMF and radiation. And that depletes your mitochondria faster than any NAD and MOTS can replenish. So sometimes it might require moving, especially if you live in black mold. So sometimes the message that we deliver to people is things that they don't want to hear. But I would rather be the bearer of bad news so that the future is not bad news when someone tells you that you have cancer or you have Alzheimer's. And it's hard to go back from that. Or you have to spend, like Susan said, $20,000 on treatments. And that was even with good insurance, you guys. So I'm trying to keep you as free from disease and pain and suffering and sickness as possible by knowing what the blocking factors are, what are the things that are keeping you sick, and what are the building factors, what are the things to do. So there's things to undo and there's things to do. So that's what we're going to be covering in the masterclass. You can ask me questions about peptides and bioregulators. I'm going to be giving you guys information about foundations so that your body has everything that it needs. And of course, we do these things. We're giving you the solutions so that everything that your body needs to get better on its own. But we do them in steps. We do them in segments. We do them in one by one so that you're not overwhelmed. I'm giving you everything all at once. But I'll tell you right now as we close this today, peptides are amazing. But if it's the only thing you're grabbing for, you are going to be sorely disappointed in the long run. We need to give your body a healthy bed of foundation so that when you do bring in peptides, your body's like, oh, cool, I know what to do with those. And when you are exposed to these poisons and pathogens, your body goes, no big deal. I've been fighting these things off. I know what to do. Because again, remember, by the time you were 50 years old, and Susan is going to be 68 very soon here, your immune system, your thymus gland function has shrunk by about 80%. So you might be getting sick even before the age of 68 or 50, but it's important to consider now to arm your immune system because that is what they're after. That is when you get cancer. That is when you get obesity. That is when you get metabolic chaos. That is when you get autoimmune disease, is when your immune system goes, I'm bankrupt and I'm at a 0 point. So we got to bring that back. So what's really cool is the path to losing weight, to feeling great, to overcoming weight gain, body pain, energy drain, broken brain, and the symptom train is by working with the foundations that we teach. And step one is what toxins are coming out of my body. And then we go to town on finding out where you're exposed to them. And then we figure out how to get them out of you. And then we amplify your immune system, your mitochondria, your endocrine system, so that when you are exposed to these things, your body goes, no big deal. I handle this on that. I can flick that thing like it's a mosquito landing on my body trying to give me some sort of disease. So anyway, we begin June 18th. Paul, is there any other final updates before I wrap for today? I know you were texting me, but I couldn't see. But yeah, I think we're good to go. Let's wrap today, you guys. We are live now in the VIP group. If you guys want to join for that, we dianecaser.com/VIP. You could join for $1 if you kind of want to get your feet wet and just see who we are. But remember, you do have until June 15th to join us for the Root Cause Reset Masterclass. You can go to dianecaser.com/RCR to learn more about that, to get started. And if you have any questions, you could always email us and you will find that on the website as well. So I hope today you felt inspired and ignited to do something. Whatever it is, do something. But the Root Cause Reset Masterclass will give you a really good first step because you're with us for 8 weeks and you get a lot of support, including all of my courses. And you get 6 calls a month. Actually, at that point, it's 4 plus 4. You get 1 call every week for the Root Cause Reset Masterclass. And you get 1 call a week for the VIP group where you're supported there. And you get 2 more. You get 10 calls a month. Oh my God. It's close to $10,000 of value in less than $4,000, you guys. So it's a good first step. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Susan, again for being here. Thank you, Paula, for directing the show and producing the show. And thank you for listening and for taking care of your body, because the single greatest thing that you can do to change the world is to change your own inner world and realize that Christ lives within. And when you build a temple within, then you build a temple without, and people start coming to you for advice, and you become the inspiration to help your family and friends all around you, just like Susan said. Okay, be well, step away from fear, step toward freedom. That's our main goal for you, just like Susan got today. All right, be well. See you guys next week. Bye for now.